Hey guys, welcome back to Black and Link Up, where we bring the real back to Black sisterhood. Today's episode is very special because I have my mother here. She's actually going to be hosting this podcast. Mother's Day is on Sunday, so by the time y'all see this, I want to wish you a happy Mother's Day. I figure I will give her the opportunity to switch roles reverse type of thing. So she has full control over the topics, over everything.
Ooh, full
So,
control. That's nice.
full control. Yes. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
This is wonderful. Thank you for the invitation. I think this is good to be able to have a conversation about whatever we choose to discuss is going to be. I think it's going to be good.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to your prompts.
Okay.
Before we get into the conversation, I've always been starting out with hot takes, but being that my mother is hosting, we are going to do an icebreaker question since it is Mother's Day or whatever. So, you want to ask the question?
Sure. So my question to you is, what do you wish people understood about being a daughter?
This is just for me.
Yes.
What do I wish people understood about being? Can we make it more specific and like a only daughter, like a only biological daughter?
If you're making it personal and you are the only biological, then yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I wish people understood.
You're gonna say something crazy, aren't you?
No. I think something that's like people say that like your mom's your best friend or whatever, but I think like my mom and I, like my mom's literally my best friend. Like my mother's I literally call my mom for anything. Me and my mom have the same tastes. Like we got the same glasses. We have the same sweaters. We have the same shoes. So the whole like your mother-daughter duo best friend, like it's something that is overhyped. But when it comes to like a true mother-daughter bond, I think there's something special in that because people literally think we're sisters. And it's not just because of looks. I think our energy kind of like what is it called? Not vibrates. It like gives off that what is it called? Aura. I guess you could say. What else? Being an only daughter means that you are the one that has to answer all of the tech questions and basically understand that your mother is also learning how to adult in 2026 as well, and she might have questions that you might think is common sense, but it's really not because there's a lot of stuff in 2026 that's new, even to me, that I sometimes have questions on. But Google is very much a thing, and I don't think it like clicks to them sometimes. So we be having to give grace and extend patience with them because, like I said, they are also learning how to adult in 2026 as well. Something else that I think needs to be understood is that when it comes to like my attitude, my mannerisms, it's literally from my mother. She likes to disagree and thinks otherwise sometimes, but the apple don't fall far from the tree. Y'all know that saying. And I think literally I grew up with my mom. And a lot of what I learned has been from my mother. So yes, I'm literally my mother's mini me.
I'm gonna let you stay there for a minute so you can just.
Nothing I said was false. So
okay. So I will say this. I will say this, and I'm not going to dispute any of what you just said because it's true. But that's okay. I don't need to lie about it. I do. You have a lot of we have similar ways for sure. The relationship that you and I have, and I'm guessing it is because you're my only biological daughter. So there's definitely that closeness that was there from Jump Street. That didn't change. It didn't fizzle out as you got older. I think it just allowed us to become just a greater mother daughter duo, which I appreciate because yes, I do look to you for some tech advice at times, and
All, all
and
take
anyway,
advice.
yes, your attitude, your sass, your my husband would call it when I put sauce on it, your sass, you get that from me. Not to say it's okay at times, but it's definitely in you. But that's okay. That's okay. You are as long as you don't speak to me sideways, right? No, I think you were not a difficult child. You were always quiet. You did not give me any. It wasn't hard parenting you. It really wasn't. I'm not saying that to big you up or give you props or anything. That's just my truth. I thank God for that. I do. But it was just easy. It was a blessing. It was easy for me. Now I'm not saying times are always easy, but it was easy for me to be your mom. And our relationship is so I love it. I appreciate it. It's like it's like cliche when they say we're supposed to be like best friends and whatnot. I feel like it's our truth, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love that what we have. I love that you can lean on me and I can lean on you at times when needed. And it's a beautiful thing. I wouldn't take it back for anything. Yeah. No, but just don't get it twisted. Like when I'm when
Ow!
I'm so sorry. Make sure you edit that part out. Um, I do not want to be in a nursing home. So
All
make
right,
room.
wrap it up.
That's all I
Make
have.
room
Yeah.
for what?
I don't know. Like have a mom suite. Um,
At
being
this
being a
point,
being a mom is being a mother, whether you're a stepmom, a spiritual mom, biological mom, is an absolute blessing when you're able to pour into another human being, when you're able to provide support, when you're able to help lift that person up, encourage, motivate, let them know that they are not in this by themselves. It's a blessing to be a mom in whatever aspect of that child's life. It's just a blessing. Will it be easy at times? Sure. Will it be hard at times? Absolutely. But God gives us what we need to be the best to our children. So it's a blessing. Yeah, it's a blessing. That's all I have. That's all I have. Well, I am thinking, with Mother's Day coming up, am I looking at you or am I looking at the camera?
both, I guess.
Oh, that's going to be
That was
difficult.
always like a struggle in our last, like when it was like the girls was like, where do we look? I feel like for some stuff, if it's a message for me, look at me. But if you're kind of giving advice on something, like look at the camera because we'll also clip it and put it in like reels.
Okay. Okay.
Just whatever,
Okay.
whichever one.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about having hard conversations. Yeah, that is one of those things that people tend to avoid for the sake of possibly not hurting feelings or stepping on anyone's toes or possibly offending someone. It's all in a perspective though, right? It's all in perspective. But I think hard conversations, when needed, should be discussed because if you are a person that is intentional about having a conversation with the purpose of allowing that person or those people to be aware of how this situation, for example, if it was something that took place on your job or in a relationship or a friendship, wherever, if it's something that is on your heart and it's pressing you to say we need to talk about this regardless of what the outcome is going to be. I think it's always good to just make the decision to say, let's talk about it. Because I think it's a disservice to you, and certainly it's not fair to you or to that person to withhold those feelings, to suppress those feelings, and then you go to bed at night trying to wonder, is it going to look differently tomorrow? Am I going to be treated any differently tomorrow? Is the situation going to get better tomorrow? So instead of asking those what if questions, just have those hard conversations.
Yeah, that's good. And I think people, like, even like you said, whether it's at your job or family or relationships, what have you, people tend to put hard conversations in like a negative light instead of like redefining the narrative as like, I want to have this rough conversation with you for the betterment of our relationship. And it's the same with boundaries. Like, I don't set boundaries because I want to, be farther away from you or like distance from you. I set boundaries for healthy relationships.
Boundaries are definitely important. Boundaries are key for certain, because when you don't establish those things from Jump Street, anything goes, and you can't get upset at yourself or at that person because you didn't, set those boundaries from the very beginning. So I think that's something that we should be mindful of, especially as women. We are emotional creatures, and we do things with heart. We love hard, we work hard, we play hard, we show up for everyone. And when something goes wrong, we tend to internalize, right? We tend to just have conversations with ourselves and just kind of ask, what if it went this way versus that way? Or what if I didn't say this versus saying that?
Overthinking it.
So yeah, just have the conversation. And it really and truly, in my mind, it doesn't have to be difficult, even though it might be a difficult subject, to converse about. But
Yeah.
if you come in with, a genuine heart, if your tone is proper, if your approach is reasonable, I believe that anyone can have those difficult conversations with the next person, and the end goal should be, even if you agree to disagree, there's no disrespect, there's no malice, there's no, okay, I'm walking away from you because you didn't understand two words that came out of my mouth. Just be mature enough to respect the person's decision, even if they disagree with you, and be good with it at the end of the day, because the goal was to have that conversation, right?
You know what's crazy? You know what I just thought of?
What?
What I told you last night about
Ah.
my. I got into like I don't want to say a disagreement, but kind of like I don't even want to say a back and forth. There was just something that was said regarding like my friendship with my friend in regards to like our closeness based off of them finding out or me like withholding information until a certain time. And it's a sensitive subject, but it was kind of like our friendship was being questioned. And I was letting my mom know, like, I almost didn't say anything because like not that I didn't want to like stir the pot, but it was kind of like, is it even worth saying anything? But I think the more that I like grow and get older, I think even sometimes little things like that is like when it comes to people's tone, how they text you, like how they communicate with you, it's just sometimes worth having even those small tough conversations. Because for me, I contemplated on not sending the text. Like, I really was like, okay, I don't even want to, because I hate conflict. Like, I'm not a conflicting person. But I think that was a boundary that I had set for myself.
Okay.
That was one thing, because that, the situation and like how sensitive it is. And that's just something that am still keeping to myself until, God gives me that final confirmation to say, okay, like, share the good news, whatever the case may be. So I kind of felt like my boundaries weren't being respected because of that. And then two, I don't know. It was just like when people take one small thing, small to me, one small thing, and disregard everything else about our friendship. Like, we're close. We do a lot together. We talk about things, but not everything has to be shared 24/7. Like,
I
not
agree.
everything has to be put into the universe. Some things should be kept between you and God until like that moment comes about. So, fast forward, I'm yapping, but I basically sent a text like asking them what their tone was for and asking for clarity on the text message. And I was proud of myself for that because that's something that I wouldn't normally do, like off of text. Because I know text can get misconstrued, but I think I'm just tired of holding my tongue back, especially when it comes to friendships and people that I'm close with. Because, like I said, like it's for the betterment of our friendship, and I don't want to ever come off as if I'm like I don't care.
Sure, sure. And I think with today's generation, texting is the way to communicate with everyone, right? But as you said, when you're reading a text, to you it may come off like ouch, or it was a dig, or being dismissive, or whatever, and that person sending you that text message is not looking at it that way. So I think it was great that you reached out and you communicated. This is how it came across. So I want to understand this. And I think with friendships, if you have good friends in your life, you have that safe space where you can just be completely honest with your friends, and there should be no ill intent in how you're expressing yourself and saying this is how I received this. So, of course, for me, good friendships are good to have if they know you well, and you're questioning, the motive behind this text message. The person's response should be one that's like, okay, I feel like I've hurt her feelings. Let me just explain, and we just keep it moving. Simple as that. I think a lot of times it's quick to overreact for whatever reasons, but I mean, does that benefit anybody? No.
Because it really don't be that deep. Like, it
Right.
really just be like you need a moment of clarity, and that's it. And
That's
you keep
it.
it pushing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also when it comes to having hard conversations, you know, um, I used to be that person that will think a second and a third time before saying to myself, okay, I need to have a hard conversation with this person, because I am old enough today. Now I'm old enough to recognize a couple of things, right? When it comes to having hard conversations, there should be no fear involved in having that, because my peace of mind, my sanity, my health, all of these things and then some are so important to me. And I cannot afford to waste time or energy trying to figure out why is this person reacting or responding that way. That does not sit right with me. Because that takes a lot of, in you, out of you, excuse me. So let's talk. Let's talk. And depending on how you respond, I can either do one of two things. I can accept what you're saying to me, and say, okay. Or I can say, I don't really understand it, because in my mind, it should not have gone down that way. You know? And I think once you get a better understanding of the whole situation, because they're now literally just spelling things out for you, okay, I feel better about this now. And I also feel better knowing that you and I were able to have a conversation without you looking at me sideways, or without you, feeling a way towards me, because, we have a relationship. We have a friendship. We have whatever, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't want this thing to cause a wedge between what we have because of a misunderstanding or something that did not sit right with me, and I need some clarity on this matter.
Do you ever feel like there's only but so many hard conversations that could or should be had until you finally reach your last straw of like, okay, this person is not for me, whether it be family, friend, co-worker, because like you said, we're naturally nurturers, and I feel like sometimes we internally make excuses for people and always give people the benefit of the doubt or try to extend grace, but sometimes it gets to a point where it's like you can't continue to overextend yourself.
Whew, that extending grace thing, my God. I find myself saying this out loud more recently on my job, extending grace to people. And it's more so for me than that
Mm-hmm.
person. Because number one, first and foremost, I'm a child of God, right? I can't talk the talk if I can't walk the walk. So I don't want to be a hypocrite, and I don't want to, you know, I don't want to be able to say something and then do the total opposite. But this extending grace, that has been one of the most difficult things I've had to do. And I think I'm going to call it a growing pain, maybe. But I'm learning because I think when I find myself or I think I'm being tried, whether it's, I'm being tested by God Himself or the enemy's trying to, hinder my spirit
Mm-hmm.
because there's something greater in store for me. I don't know. But to me, I just keep reminding myself, yes, Evelyn, do not focus on that thing, that thorn in your side, right? Instead, just focus on, okay, how am I going to remove it? Lord, give me strength because it's hurtful. It's painful at times. But, the word tells us greater is He that is in me than he that is in the world. So I know for me, it's like, okay, we need to talk about this because there's this pattern that I'm seeing. And we've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, it's not clicking. For whatever reason, you're not understanding what I'm saying. So maybe I need to either word it differently or maybe have a third party come in and, say, word it differently, whatever the case may be. But I will not be the person to just say, you know what, I've said this on multiple occasions and you're not getting it, so I give up. I'm not going to do that. I'm not. Because you are going to get it one way or another, whether it's from me or from somebody else. You'll understand it. Yeah.
So you don't cut people off.
Life is too short to cut people off. Life is too short to cut people off. Now, mind you, don't get it twisted. However, don't get it twisted. So here's the thing. My husband tells me this all the time. You have to learn where to put people in certain boxes
Mm-hmm.
and leave them right there. Thanks, babe. So I'm doing that, and it's great. It's great. Yeah.
That's good
Yeah.
for your peace of mind. Like you said, like it's not always for the other person, but it's for you.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It is. Hard conversations. It's life. Because we deal with life. When they say life be life, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
armor yourself and make sure your head is on straight before you have that whatever conversation with that person. And just be approachable, because when someone is coming to you to have a hard conversation, they should be approachable. You don't want to look at them like, okay, I feel like I'm under the attack right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like
I
in a safe
think,
space.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think it makes it easier for you to transition into whatever it is that you're going to say, with the hope of having some clarity at the end, and having that person understand, okay, and if there's apologies that need to be made, let those apologies, come forth, and we go on our merry way. Now, if they want to be stubborn about the matter, that will tell me, because there are stubborn folk out there that don't want to, or refuses to listen to the next person. And I think it's a few things that they're lacking. Number one, having the ability to step outside of themselves, right? And put themselves in your shoes. Showing some sort of empathy for you. And really just being emotionally intelligent to receive what you have to say, no matter how, like, ouch, you know? So it's like you have to kind of, see it for yourself and kind of recognize, okay, what approach should I take when having this conversation with that person?
Yeah.
Do you go like straight to that agenda, or do you kind of butter them up
The
first?
sandwich method.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you got to know how to approach the situation.
Would you say you're an empath? Do you think you're an empath?
Ooh.
Think about it. Take a little second.
Okay.
Why
do you ask?
Because I'm an empath, and I don't get that from my father. So
you think you get it from me?
Yes.
Why do you say that? Please give me an example.
Because you tend to, like, even with the smallest things, like watching a movie, like you're very emotional, you're very emotionally aware, you're very emotionally mature, and I feel like people that can, like, empathize with people and kind of treat people, like, not treat everybody the same. Like, you might treat me different because, my personality versus how you would treat if you had another kid that had a different personality. Like, people that can, I don't know what the word is, kind of like be a chameleon with people and, like, how they treat them, tend to be empathetic, tend to be empaths. I think a great example is, like, you empathizing with somebody in a movie and, like, crying instantly. Like, you put yourself in their shoes.
I don't, I do cry at if it's something emotional or sad, of course I'm going to cry. I think that would, I don't know what that would contribute. I don't know. Well, I don't want to say I don't know, because I think I do know. I think I do know. And
you do know what, if you are or not?
Yes, yes, I'll agree. I'll agree
that you are empath.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Do you feel like we've ever had to have, like, hard conversations? Or, like, can you remember a time where we had a hard conversation? Because I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, geez, Brie. My goodness. I don't think I've had hard conversations with you. I think whatever conversations that would constitute as being hard today, I didn't look at it as having hard conversations with you. It was just something that we had to talk about. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't look at it as being a hard conversation to have with you. You're an adult now. I think what a hard conversation between you and I today would look something like, if there's, something that's really, really wrong with me health wise, or something terrible that's going on in my life, in my personal life. But to think back to, I don't know how many years, I can't think of anything that was difficult for me to discuss with you. Yeah. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I don't remember ever, like, feeling like that. I feel like we kind of always, granted, it's like been better over time, and like the more I got older, the more I understood. But I feel like we kind of always had like a open line of communication, and it's never felt like it was always a safe space.
And that was what my that's always been for me at the forefront with you being my only biological child. Wanting to make sure that the opportunity was always there for you to say, okay, I can go to my mom about this and there will not be any, hesitation on your end, any like what ifs, any fear, you know, because as parents, even when our children, they become adults and they're living their own lives and doing their own thing, I'm that parent that I'm always going to be in my child's life, period. I don't care how old you are. I will always be that parent that will always be there. And I think it was important for me to make sure that that was something that you were fully aware of, even as an itty bitty thing, because life is wicked. This world is wicked, and to not have the feeling or the thought that a parent, whether mom or dad, is not around to be supportive or even understanding. I never wanted to come across as being judgmental because we're not perfect as parents, as moms. We're not perfect, but we've learned along the way. Life will teach us some lessons where we can teach our children, you know, don't buy this car because dot dot dot.
Is that shade?
I'm just saying.
That was shade.
I'm just saying. That was just an example. But no, for me it's just being able to just allow you to know that mom is always going to be in your corner, period, regardless. And it's important for me as a parent to know that you know that for yourself without me even having to say anything to you.
Yeah. Honestly, if it was up to me, I'd still be under your insurance plan. You'd still be booking my dentist appointments, my doctor's appointments. She will be doing
That is
everything for
untrue.
me.
That is so untrue.
Yeah, I do not like calling a doctor. I do not like all that
I know you
real
don't,
adulting
but
stuff. I would rather not,
I know
honestly.
I totally get that and I see it for myself. However, you are of age, well educated, well capable of doing these things on your own. See, the problem is with parents today. See, I'm going to sound like a hypocrite right now, but I'm going to make it very clear. When I say to you that, yes, you're an adult, you're independent, you're doing your own thing, but I will be a parent till the day I die, right? It doesn't mean that I'm going to continue to hold your hand and walk you through every process. Any area of your life, whatever that looks like, whether it's your career, your relationships, your everything, all of those things. I will not hold your hand. However, when you look over, you're going to see me there, right? Parents that tend to, they say, do too much for their grown children. That to me is, in my personal opinion, I don't like it for the child that is now grown, that is now in a world where they have to, they've been so dependent on their parents doing for them that now they don't know how to pick up the phone and make a doctor's appointment. They don't know how to shop for insurance. They don't know how to do the most basic of the basics, and it's scary to me because we as parents, we think, okay, this is my child and I want to do and I want to do. That's great, but we are not teaching them to be independent. We're teaching them to be, I'm going to continue to be dependent on mom and dad because they've got me. But guess what? Mom and dad is not always going to be around, right? And I want to make sure that you're able to spread your wings and fly. You know how to utilize those wings. I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
be right behind you and say, okay, she's not flying the right way. So to me, it's kind of like mom and dad is doing too much for that grown child, and it's not good. It's not
Yeah.
good.
I think in some cases it's not, it's, I guess it depends on like how the child or adult grew up too. Because I think a lot of why I'm independent now is because I grew up with you doing everything. So like I've seen what it takes to like put in the effort and the work. And I think a lot of times when it comes to like the insurance and all that stuff aside, it's not that they don't want to, or it's not that they don't know how to, except they don't want to because they are so used to like having both parents, that one, does all the appointments and stuff, the other one does this. So they're kind of mentally trained to like have that same mindset. I
That
think that
very
it
well
comes to
may
a
be
point
true.
where you have to like cut the umbilical cord. Yes.
But how do you do that? That what you just
I'm
said
not a
may very
parent.
well be true.
That I don't
Okay, so I
know.
will tell you how. You have that hard conversation with your
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
That's it.
But I
Yeah.
think like sometimes parents, and again, like a lot of it is situational, and that's something I'm like, people are the way they are for a reason. It's not just for no reason.
Sure.
Like sometimes the parent might be, I don't know, holding on to doing those things because that's the only type of relationship that they can get from them, or like the only type of interaction they can get from them. Whereas if they don't have that, they may not see or hear from said adult child at all.
I get that. I get that. But then what's the outcome? What does that outcome look like for that
I
that
don't think
adult
they're
child?
worried about the outcome.
Okay.
I think they're more worried about protecting what they have
Okay.
in the moment. But again, I'm not a parent. I don't know.
No,
That's
that's a possibility. Like you said, it's situational, and that could very well be a possibility. I just think that sooner or later that parent will have to, because as we get older, we're naturally going to do less, right? Whether it's from the physical standpoint, the emotional, mental, like, okay, I'm going to retire. I want to live out my retirement years healthy, happy, in my right mind, not stressing over my grown child that still is unable to do whatever for themselves. So that adult child has to also recognize those things. So that's where I think those conversations, should be had between both the parent and their child, because it's not going to end well for either one of them, in my opinion.
yeah.
Now, if they're both okay with living their life like that from now until kingdom come, then knock yourself out.
Yeah. That's something I definitely don't take for granted, and something that, again, like as I got older, I realized, not saying that I compare myself to people, but seeing how other people are with their parents and the relationships they have with their parents, and then seeing our relationship. Like, no, it wasn't always perfect, but
It wasn't.
the way that I was raised, it just, I'll be looking at people like, it just makes so much sense now how I was raised. Even with my dad, like, even like, yes, my dad. Why are you laughing?
Because I know you're.
Yeah, my dad is a character, to say the
Yes,
least,
yes, yes.
and was strict, but he, like, for example, he taught me that, I shouldn't just be worried about the car in front of me when I'm driving. I need to be worried about the car on the side and the back, two cars behind. And it's really true, especially driving in Columbus. That's something that is always going to be drilled in the back of my head. So a lot of the stuff that like y'all got on me about when I was younger is now like I'm using it now, and I don't take that for granted. Cuz some people really, like, in my age group, live like they have a very good life insurance policy, and they don't.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Now that you know where you are today in your life, it's like, okay, I've taken in all of these lessons from mom and dad and your stepdad and whatnot. It's like now you can apply those same things when you have your own family, right? And
Mm-hmm.
not have to worry about stuff that we as parents thought we
Mm-hmm.
had to worry about. So it's really just being responsible in your role as a parent. So if you have to have those difficult conversations, whether it's with, you know, a parent or a coworker or your significant other, there's nothing wrong
Mm-hmm.
with that. Because your peace.
Yeah. My piece is more important.
Yeah. Yeah. So put a hashtag on those hard conversations.
What?
That didn't make any sense. So make sure I said put a
Put a hashtag?
hashtag on hard conversations. Does that make sense? No, not really.
Like, are you saying just hashtag hard conversations?
Yes, that's
Okay.
what I meant to
Yeah.
say.
You don't say put a hashtag. You just say hashtag.
Got it. See?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Each one
Wow.
teach one.
Yeah.
The other one that I thought we can kind of touch on is faith, values, and purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think those three words, faith, values, and purpose, they all tie in. And you know, because it's like we were born, you know, our parents, they raise us, we go out, we get an education, and we go out, we get a job, and we, you know, we establish a career path. And you know, people always ask us, or they've asked us, you know, well, what is it that you want to do when you grow up in life? And, you know, what is it that you want to be? And, you know, whether or not you have a good response, I think, you know, faith for me is huge. Certainly having a purpose in this life is huge too, because we're not just existing, we're living, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's more about, you know, how am I living my life? And what is my purpose in this life? And what values do I bring, you know, to make sure that I'm fulfilling that purpose? And I think if you don't have those things, it's going to be difficult for anyone, really and truly, to live a life that is meaningful, to live a life that is benefiting them. You know, because I hear people sometimes they've been in a field for so long, and then for whatever reason they ended up going into a different field, right, for whatever reasons, and it doesn't really line up with where their heart was. So I'd ask the question, like, are you okay being in this space right now, or
Mm-hmm.
is it something that was forced upon you, you know? And the answer that was given was more of a I'm not really okay, but I'm in it just for a moment because of X, Y, and Z. My thing is, you know, as a believer, right, we have to put our faith and our trust in God in all things. And nothing in life happens by circumstance. I think that when you apply your faith to something and you believe with all of your heart that, you know, God knows your heart, He knows what's on your mind, He knows the path that you want to take, He'll clear that path for you. And whatever that purpose is, right? For example, someone told me that they think I would have made a great attorney, and I'm not going to tell you who that person is, even though you know
I'm gonna ask.
this person thinks I would have made a great attorney. But when I was younger, I wanted to be a teacher. I just love being in the educational system, and I saw it one day. You know, I was like, yeah, I can see myself in a classroom with a bunch of kids and teaching them. I now the little ones, not the older ones, because teenagers today, y'all are different. But anyway, this person said they think that I would have made a great attorney, and it was never in my mind, right? Anyhow, I'm kind of like shifting gears, but just to get back to what I was saying when it comes to like, having faith and having purpose and values, all of those three, if you have those, your faith, your values, what does your values look like? For me, it's about if I were to go down that path of seeking a new career, right? I have to trust and believe that, okay, God, if this is your will for my life, this will be something that is meant for me. This will be, and it will, there will be a purpose behind it. But if it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, there wouldn't be any value added to it. You know what I mean? So I think I'm not in law. I'm in the construction industry. God have mercy. For how many years now? But it's been good to me. But anyhow, I think I do add value to where I am today. I believe I'm supposed to be here for a particular reason. As I said, I have been dealing with some challenges, but I think it's causing me to grow. It's causing me to be prepared for something bigger that I may not even be fully aware of at this moment. But there's a reason why I'm still, on this path, and I believe that the faith that I have, trusting and believing in God for just making it clear for me one day, versus harping on the day-to-day challenges or the folk that get under my skin or stupid stuff. you know I know that what I'm doing, I'm bringing something to the table. I'm adding to what's there. So I'm great with that. If it wasn't for just being able to hear God when He speaks to me, I would have left a long time ago. I would have left. But there's a reason why He allowed me to stay. There's a reason why, and I just hold on to that. I just hold on to that.
That's good. I think. Do you think this is kind of like a sidebar question? Do you think that you or people in general inherit their spiritual life?
Inherit?
Yeah, like for example, grandma is Christian. You are Christian. I'm Christian. When I have kids, we're going to go to the Church of God. Like, do you think it's kind of like embedded in us from a young age, or is it something else? I know the answer. I would just love your thoughts on it.
Well, I believe that because I grew up in a household where we went to church every Sunday, we went to Bible study, Wednesday nights, we went to Friday night services, that became a part of, you know, my lifestyle, right? And although I was still pretty young and still trying to understand the ways of the church and trying to understand how does God work in a person's life, or trying to understand how do I build a relationship with Christ as a young person, it just stayed with me. Certainly as I've gotten older, you know, the more you live, the more you understand how life operates and how things happen, and you just have to make a decision. Okay, do I stay in this space when it comes to Christianity, or do I venture off and explore other
Religions.
faiths,
Yeah.
religions, excuse me. I was good knowing that I grew up in a Christian household. We are far from perfect, but I was good to know that I grew up in a Christian household. saying my prayers at night, reading my Bible, that was all beneficial to my spiritual growth. I was good with that. I don't regret it at all. So I think if it's something that is instilled with you at a young age, it's in you, right? It's in you. But as you get older, when you become an adult or even a teenager, you can very well say, you know what? I want to see what the Catholics be doing, or I want to see what the Muslims be doing. I want to see how, whatever other faiths that are out there. I want to explore those options. Certainly, you have the right to do so, right? God gives us free will, right? So it's up to that person to say, I'm good here. I know my faith. I believe in God. I believe in the Holy Trinity. I believe what the Word tells me. I'm not ashamed of it. I am a child of God. I am royalty. I am His child, and I do not regret it. I do not regret it.
I think you said it was in you at a young age, and I think for my personal experience, I think it was on me. Like, you know how people say it's not in you, it's on you. I think it was on me from a young age because of like the routines, because of the fact that we were going to church every Sunday, and that was like the standard. I think when I got older, and we started going to our church now, that's when I started to really take my walk with Christ a little bit more serious. And I was experiencing things that like I didn't really agree with. So it kind of made me stray away from the church as far as like my attendance on Sunday mornings, and like just following that standard, as I mentioned. And I think as of late, and like doing a lot of, I don't know if it's not soul searching, but just really sitting with myself and with God and with the word. And like you said, what the word tells us, I think I've learned that like church is literally what you make it out to be. Your walk with God is your walk with God, whether you go to church every Sunday, whether you watch church every Sunday and go once a month, whether you go to Bible study every Wednesday and Friday or every Wednesday. Like, it's literally what you make it. And I think once I accepted that, I stopped listening to a lot of like the outside noise, and started just like showing up because I knew that I wanted to strengthen my relationship with God. And then once that happened, it was like one thing after the next was happening. It was like this opportunity that I was like, oh, okay, this
And see,
it's revealing your, yeah, it was
so
like an abundance of one thing after another.
and here's the
But
thing, you made a comment earlier about you use the word, I think you used the word routine. So, when we're children, right, we grew up in Christian households, and as little ones, we go to Sunday school and we go to church every Sunday morning, right? We're kids, so we're not really, are we really paying attention sitting, in that
right.
church pew listening to a preacher something? We're not really paying attention because we're kids, right? But as you get older in life, you have a better understanding as to why you're doing what you're doing. It no longer becomes a routine or a habit, so to speak. It becomes a part of who you are as a Christian, right? And the Bible tells us that we are the church. We are the church. The building is just the building, so we are the
Right.
church. And as you get older and you say to yourself, okay, this is becoming much clearer to me. Let me dive into my word a little more so I can get a better understanding of who I am as a child of God, what He expects of me as a child of God. Your walk will look different. Your talk will look different. The people that you associate with will either back away or come a little closer to you. Your way of thinking is different because you're reading your word more and you're getting a better clarity as to, like I said, who you are in Christ. So I think it's good when our children who did grow up in the church, that for them was just, like you said, it was a routine going to Sunday school and being, sitting on that pew on a Sunday morning and waiting for that time for church service to be over so you can go home and put on your play clothes. But, we grow up and we learn and we make a decision like, do I need Christ in my life? Is he what he says he is? And we make that decision because he gives us free will. And it's up to us to make that decision for ourselves versus our parents forcing us, right? To say, okay, well, you went to church every Sunday morning, you heard what the preacher man said, and you gonna keep going. I'm not gonna keep doing this. You're gonna, recognize it for yourself, and it's your choice to make that decision that's gonna benefit not just you here, but your soul as well. So, well, this wraps up another episode of Black Women Link Up. Thank you for joining us. This was a great conversation on having hard conversations. They may be hard, but they are definitely necessary for your peace of mind. So until next time,
I'm Brianna.
and I'm Miss Evelyn.
And this is Black Women Link Up.
Hey.